This girl's name is Yun. Her father is a ship captain. Because he left his family too often, little Yun forgot what his father looked like. Until one day, his father died at sea without having time to say goodbye. Not long after his father left, her sickly mother also died at a very young age. Yun has to live alone without parents. At her mother's funeral, with a face full of disappointment, Yun promised herself that she would definitely be able to survive and grow into a strong woman without ever relying on anyone else. Decades later, at the age of 39, it appears that Yun has kept her promise. Now she has become a successful lawyer. Thanks to her prowess in solving corruption cases and large projects, many well-known Korean companies pay handsomely to use her services. Because for decades she always struggled alone, she never thought about building a family. For her, family was just empty talk. That day, when she was handling the rape case, Yun suggested that it would be better for the victim's mother not to continue with her demands, because she would definitely lose against a rich kid. Especially if this case spreads widely, it will be her daughter who will suffer shame for the rest of her life. Hearing that, the victim's mother was angry. Yun, who has no family, would not be able to understand how devastated a mother would feel when she found out that the daughter she had carried for 9 months and had raised with love was raped by a savage person. In the midst of the debate, the mother's daughter tried to calm her down, even though she was very disappointed. However, because she realized that her family was poor, the mother was forced to choose the path of peace. After that, in the lobby of Yun's office, she met her senior that advised her that as a lawyer, Yun should be more on the side of the poor, not join in oppressing them. But Yun answered, "Lawyers have to be rational, the poor can't possibly win against the rich, why fight if it's just a waste of time?" Hearing that, the senior could only remain silent. In the afternoon, while practicing martial arts, Yun's friend suggested that she start opening her heart and look for a life partner. At the age of 30, it's time for Yun to start a family. But Yun isn't interested at all. She thinks all men are useless. That night, Yun met a rich businessman. Because she often handles large projects and knows the ins and outs of various projects in Korea, without further ado the client asked for Yun's help in arranging the eviction of residents' flats, so that the luxury apartment construction project could be completed sooner. As an initial payment, the client gave her car keys and a VVIP shopping card. With that card, Yun could shop as much as she wanted. Without hesitation, Yun was willing to help. The next morning after breakfast, Yun went to visit the grave where her mother's ashes were kept. In front of the grave, Yun proudly shows a job promotion letter to the United States. Yun is very happy that soon her dream of becoming an international class lawyer will soon come true. But in the evening after work, because the road was dark, Yun had an accident. Strangely, when she opened her eyes, Yun was confused as to why she had suddenly moved into an all-white lobby. When she met the receptionist and checked her name and date of birth, the receptionist was shocked and asked her to wait a moment. In the superior's room, the receptionist reports that there was a data input error. Yun's death schedule was mixed up. Yun should have died in 2054, not now. Hearing the report, the boss named Lee was angry. Luckily, Lee had an idea. He called Yun and explained the problem that was happening. When she finds out that she just died, Yun panics with fear. Lee then tries to reassure that there is no need to worry, he has a solution, so that Yun can live again. Coincidentally, yesterday there was a woman who chose to die sooner even though she still had 1 month left to live. Why didn't Yun try to replace that woman? Through a special program, if Yun successfully lives the remaining 1 month and past the probation period, Yun's spirit will be returned to her original body, which is currently in a coma in the hospital. Because her dream had not yet been realized, without asking much, Yun immediately agreed. The receptionist then asks Yun to stand in a circle, then sends her back to Earth. When Yun opened her eyes, she was shocked that she was now a woman. When she saw a man emerge from the bathroom, Yun screamed in surprise. It turned out that the man was Yun's husband in this life. His name is Sung. When she found out that she also had 2 children, Yun was even more shocked, one teenage daughter named Hanol, and one little son named Ganjio. Luckily, Yun's family didn't suspect anything. They thought mom was acting strange because she had watched a horror film. Yun, who was still in shock, ran out of the house and screamed at the sky, protesting why Lee didn't tell her that she was going to be a housewife. Not long after, Ganjio came out asking to be taken to school. At the bus stop, after taking Ganjio to get on the bus, Yun was invited by her friends to go to the factory to look for part-time work. When she wanted to go home, she was also forced to hang out together at the cafe. Seeing the behavior of her friends, Yun became increasingly stressed. She then went to the toilet to calm down. In the toilet, Lee suddenly appears. Yun then begs to be returned to her original body. However, Lee reminded her that according to the initial agreement, for the next 1 month, Yun had to pass a trial period in this body first. Hearing that, Yun couldn't help but be silent. At home, after analyzing her new family's life, Yun finally decided to start accepting the situation as Lee suggested. But when she was shopping at the supermarket, her husband's credit card limit turned out not to be enough. Not long after, Yun's friend called and said that Ganjio had come home from school earlier, and now he was waiting in the park. Yun rushes to pick him up, lucky that Yun's friend wants to help look after Ganjio. In the afternoon, when they just came home, Sung and Hanol were confused about why they only had meat for dinner. Seeing the 2 of them, Yun told them to sit down and don't be fussy. In the room when Yun was going to sleep, Sung suddenly asked to have a husband and wife relationship. Because of fear, Yun immediately twisted Sung's hand while threatening to report her husband on charges of rape. So that Sung doesn't do anything to her, she chooses to sleep on the sofa. The next day at the office, while on break, Sung confided in his friend about Yun's strange behavior lately. His friend said, maybe Yun was having an affair out there. Hearing that, Sung couldn't believe it. He was sure that his wife was a loyal woman. A boss named Choi came. Sung approached him and showed the design of a soundproofing project for trains. Seeing this brilliant idea, instead of supporting it, Choi told Sung to focus on the sidewalk project, which was more profitable for the company. And Sung was disappointed. Elsewhere, Yun is seen hanging out with her friends. They all have to be united in rejecting the luxury apartment construction project because it will evict local residents' flats. Hearing the news just now, Yun immediately remembered that in her real life she worked for a rich client who wanted to build a luxury apartment. Yun then rushed to her real house to get the eviction papers. When she got home, after finding the files before leaving, Yun remembered that she had been given a VIP shopping card. Because Yun really wanted to go shopping, she went to the mall and bought expensive clothes and bags, but when she wanted to pay, the cashier was suspicious. Why was Yun's name different from the name on her VIP card? At school, while on break, Hanol meets a handsome classmate named Jaeyoung and Jaeyoung asks to meet. After parting, Hanol's heart blossomed. Meanwhile at home, Ganjio brings medicine for Yun. He thinks that mom's attitude has been strange lately. It must be because she's sick. At first Yen refused, but when she saw her innocent boy's face, she finally wanted to take the medicine. In the evening after work, Sung invites her to discuss last night's problems. While being angry, Sung accuses Yen of cheating because Yen doesn't want to answer. Sung sulks and goes into the room. Hanul also came home and asked Yen to cook something for her. Seeing Hanul's impudent attitude, Yen immediately scolded her daughter. The two of them started arguing. In the middle of the debate, Sung comes out and asks where Yen gets the money to buy luxury goods, which must be from an affair outside. Suddenly, cops come asking Yen to come to the police station. At the office, Yen is questioned about the VVIP shopping card, which has a different name. Fortunately, Sung manages to defend and convince the police that his wife is not a thief. Seeing her husband struggle, Yen slowly began to fall in love. On the roof of the house, while Yen was contemplating, Lee suddenly appeared to rebuke her. Lee is disappointed that in just 44 hours 14 minutes 28 seconds, Yen has caused a lot of problems for this family, especially her husband. Lee firmly warned her to behave better. If she continued to cause problems and inconvenience her husband, then she would replace Yen with another candidate. Hearing the warning, Yen fell silent. After returning home, Sung didn't seem angry at all. He actually apologized. As a husband, he rarely took Yen to go shopping for nice clothes. Sung promises that from now on, he will be more attentive and will not let other people control his wife's appearance. Hearing Sung's words, she blushed. The next day when he got home from work, Sung said that he will have a party tomorrow. Sung really wanted Yen to accompany him to an office event once in a while. The next night at the office party, Sung is surprised to see that his wife is very beautiful. Sung confidently introduces Yen to the regent. When Sung wants to convey his idea about the train soundproofing project, suddenly Choi appears. Choi doesn't want to be outdone by the competition and tries to divert the conversation and invites the regent to eat at the dining table. Choi continues to look for attention in front of the regent. Yen suddenly interrupts the conversation. She said to the regent that Choi's project was not important. Instead of using the city budget to take care of useless projects, it would be better for the regent to build station soundproofing facilities so that train passengers would feel more comfortable. In the end, if the people are happy, the regent's popularity will increase. Sung panicked and tried to restrain his wife, but unexpectedly, after hearing Yen's opinion, the regent was actually interested and asked Choi to immediately make detailed calculations for the project tomorrow. While looking at Sung cynically, Choi was forced to obey the regent's orders. After eating, Sung and Yen got into an arguing. When they were about to go home, Choi came and insulted Yen. When he heard that his wife had been insulted, Sung immediately punched Choi. To relieve fatigue, Sung invites Yen to stop by the shop. While they're drinking, Yen says she is worried that Sung will be fired for hitting his boss. Sung then tries to calm Yen down. For him, work is important, but if the woman he loves is insulted by other people, it doesn't matter. Even if it's the boss, he will still beat him up. Hearing her husband's romantic sentences, Yen was happy. When they returned home, they both slept separately again. Sung, who is drunk, sleeps on the sofa, while Yen sleeps with Ganjio. Yen was surprised when Ganjio suddenly hugged her. This was the first time she felt the warm embrace of a child. The next morning while Yen was cooking, Hanul asked for money to hang out with her friends after school. Because of her habit of being pampered, Yen firmly says that from now on, if she wants pocket money, Hanul must start learning to help her parents. No work, no money. Hanul, who was annoyed, immediately went to school. That night, Yen took Ganjio to play at the night market. While he was running around, the boy fell. Fortunately, there is a man to help him. Not long after, a woman passed by and reprimanded the man. Apparently this man had not paid the rent for the market stall for 1 month. Because the man doesn't have any money yet, he apologizes and begs to be given more time, but the woman doesn't care. Basically tonight the man has to leave. In the midst of the commotion, Yun comes to see the abuse of poor residents. Yun, who has years of experience as a lawyer, easily exposed the woman's corruption case in front of everyone. While pointing towards the communications tower, Yun said she knew that all this time, the woman had been secretly receiving money from the communications company worth thousands of won per year. The money should be distributed to all residents living around the tower. Yun threatened that if she didn't want to report it, the woman would have to apologize to the man. The woman fell silent and embarrassed, then apologized and left. Seeing Yun's courage, everyone applauded. They didn't think that an ordinary housewife like Yun actually understood the law. The next morning, after Hanul finished helping with the housework, as agreed, Yun gave her pocket money. Before leaving, Hanul said that she will come home late today, because she wanted to hang out with her friends. After school, Hanul is invited to come at the house of a handsome senior named Jaeyoung. Coincidentally, today no one was at home. When Jaeyoung wanted to kiss Hanul, she realized there was a camera recording them. It turns out, Hanul was being recorded. Jaeyoung's friends appeared to surround her, even though she tried to escape. Unfortunately, Hanul couldn't fight back. The teenage girl ended up being abused. In the afternoon at home, Yun is confused as to why Hanul comes home and goes straight to her room, crying. When she was examined, Yun was surprised that there were so many bruises all over Hanul's body. Hanul, who couldn't speak, could only cry. After Hanul calmed down, she told Yun what had happened. Hearing that story, Yun's heart was broken. The next day at school, the principal is seen holding mediation between Hanul and Jaeyoung. Throughout the discussion, Jaeyoung's lawyer continued to intimidate Yun and said that yesterday's incident was just a misunderstanding. He hopes Yun doesn't escalate this problem. They promised to give Yun money to keep her mouth shut. Yun's heart felt so sore. While holding back her tears, she allowed herself to go to the toilet for a moment. In the toilet, Yun cried uncontrollably. She remembered how much of a jerk she was in her real life. Now she feels karma. Apparently this is how a mother's heartache feels when her child is hurt. Hanul comes in and says that she doesn't want to prolong this problem. She will try to be sincere because after all, poor people like them can never win against the rich. But Yun firmly said, "Who says people who don't have money can't fight?" Yun then took her daughter's hand and took her back to the room. When the discussion continued, the lawyer continued to corner the victim. Even the principal took Jaeyoung's side. At first the lawyer looked arrogant. He was sure that dealing with ordinary housewives would be easy. But suddenly, Yun took out her cell phone and said, "Just so you know, from the start of coming here, she has recorded this entire conversation." Now that the positions have reversed, Jaeyoung, the lawyer and the principal are panicking. For Yun, there is no such thing as peace. With a sharp gaze she vows to make Jaeyoung suffer like hell. Even if Jaeyoung runs away abroad, Yun will continue to spread his rot on the internet and all social media until Jaeyoung's name in the eyes of the world will be completely destroyed. Yun will also destroy the lawyer's career, and will report the principal to the ethics agency. When Yun wanted to leave, because he was annoyed, Jaeyoung cursed at Yun and continued to make a fuss. Yun, who is good at martial arts, immediately gives Jaeyoung a lesson. After business is finished, Yun and Hanul sit together in the park. Hanul then hugged Yun and said, "Mom was really cool." At that moment, their relationship began to become close. While Yun staring at her family from the balcony, Lee suddenly appeared. Lee reminded that there were only a few days left. Hearing this, Yun was sad and wondered if she wasn't there, what would happen to her children. Lee then advised Yun, in the remaining time before leaving, it would be better for Yun to guide the children so they can live independently. In the afternoon at the office during his break, Choi gave Sung a mutation or transfer letter. Starting next month, Sung will be transferred to an overseas branch office. Sung then apologized about yesterday's incident while begging to let him continue working here, but Choi didn't care, and he cursed at Sung. Luckily, Sung was still able to restrain himself. In the evening, because she only had a little time left, Yun asked Sung out on a date together. While chatting intimately, Sung told Yun that next month he would be transferred abroad. Hearing this, Yun felt guilty. If yesterday she hadn't interfered with her husband's work, maybe this wouldn't have happened. The two of them then held hands and strengthened each other. The next day, without Sung's knowing, Yun arranged to meet Choi at a cafe. Before going there, Yun had investigated Choi's background first. At first, Yun pretended to be sad while begging Choi to cancel her husband's mutation. But because Choi still refuses, Yun finally shows her true colors. Yun has handled many large project cases. In fact, she has memorized almost all the large projects throughout Korea. She also knew that Choi had been involved in corruption cases in various projects. Yun threatened that it would be better for her husband's mutation to be cancelled than for Choi to go to prison. Choi, who was afraid of being reported to the police, panicked and complied with Yun's request. In another place, Ganjio suddenly fainted. After getting the news, Sung and Yun rushed to the hospital. From the results of the examination, the doctor informed that Ganjio was suffering from a rare eye disease. This is a hereditary disease, and if it is treated too late he could go blind. The only way to prevent it is surgery. Hearing the doctor's words, Yun's in shock. She immediately remembered her childhood. When Yun was a child, she also suffered from this eye disease. On the roof of the hospital, Yun cried in confusion and then asked Lee why Ganjio could suffer from a hereditary eye disease like Yun had, even though he was not related to Yun by blood. Lee slowly explained that even though Yun was only a temporary mother, her life story and everything about Yun had been brought into this life. Yun became even more sad and cried. When Sung came, she immediately hugged him. Sung then tried to calm his wife. At night, Yun sleeps next to Ganjio. While hugging her little son, Yun tells him about her past, and even now she really hates her father because from childhood, he often left her to go sailing. She doesn't remember what her father's face looked like. She only remembers that her father was a bad man. Yun is vengeful because when her father died, her mother became sick and died too, and she must live alone. In the past, Yun struggled to survive the hardships of living alone until she could be successful, but even though she was successful, she strangely always felt lonely. Now, after meeting Ganjio, Hanol and Sung, she realizes that the happiness she has been looking for is not money, but family. Early in the morning, while Ganjio was waiting for surgery, Lee suddenly appeared. Seeing Lee, Yun realized that the time had come, but when the taxi came to pick her up, Yun begged for a little more time until Ganjio had finished the surgery. She didn't want to just leave, without saying goodbye to her child. Unfortunately, Lee couldn't grant that request. Even though she loved them very much, this was still not Yun's real life. Because she was still not ready to separate, Yun decided to run away. Seeing Yun continuing to beg, Lee then melted, then gave Yun a chance to say goodbye. At the hospital, Yun immediately hugged Hanol. She advised Hanol to be a good sister. Hanul then said goodbye to go to school without knowing that her mother would be gone forever. Yun then approached Ganjio, who had just woken up from the surgery. While crying, Yun said that as long as mother isn't around, Ganjio must obey his father and sister. And the last, Yun met Sung. She apologized for causing a lot of problems. It might sound strange, but this was the first time she felt in love. For Yun, Sung is her first love. Yun asks Sung to look after the children well. Because he thought Yun just wanted to go out for a while, Sung just kept quiet. After saying goodbye, with a heavy heart, Yun left the family she loved. When she returns to his real life, Yun is seen in the hospital, just waking up from a coma. In that instant, Yun immediately rushed to the hospital where Ganjio was being treated. But when she arrived, it turned out that Ganjio wasn't there. Strangely, when Yun looked at the house, the family wasn't there. Yun's heart ached, even though the memory of the family was still clear, as if they had only been separated for a short time. At the bus stop, Yun thinks, maybe all these memories are just a dream. After a month has passed, Yun's character now seems to have changed. That day at the office, Yun met her senior and gave him a file containing the case of eviction of residents' apartments, then asked her senior to take over this case. Yun is sure that good people like her senior will definitely side with the poor. Yun wants to take time off. She also no longer wants to be a cruel lawyer who can do various things just to chase money. A few days later, Yun decides to move house. While packing, she accidentally found a box containing items left by her parents. When looking through a photo album of her memories with her father and mother, Yun realized that the figure of Lee who had appeared in his dreams all this time was actually her own father. The next day, after moving house, Yun went on holiday to entertain herself. Before the plane departed, when Yun was looking for her seat number, suddenly a little boy greeted her. Not long after, his older sister and father came to reprimand the little boy and apologized if this boy was a bit impolite. Coincidentally, they were sitting in the same row as Yun. Seeing the family, Yun fell silent. It turned out that her life yesterday was not a dream. The little boy said that they wanted to go on holiday to cheer themselves up because their mother had just died. Coincidentally, Yun and their vacation spot are the same. Hearing that, Yun smiled happily.